So welcome everyone. I am so happy to see all of you and to speak with all of you this evening. It's really good to see your faces and to actually have a conversation with all of you this evening. Tonight is about sharing our ideas and being able to hear your comments too. But my task this evening is to talk about the importance of effective communication and why it's so critical for all of us. And I'm going to be speaking about communication in broad terms tonight. I know that there are many of you in this audience that are experts in all the social media platforms and how to use them. So my thought process tonight is going to be just speaking about why it's so important for us to communicate with one another. So I was looking for a way to give you an idea that means something to me about how critical effective communication is. It's an analogy. And I like to say that our Soroptimist members are the heart and soul of our organization, because I know that without each and every one of us, we wouldn't exist. We wouldn't be able to do the service that we do and to affect the lives of women and girls in the way we do in each of our communities. But also, communication is the lifeblood of our clubs. And so it's just like our bodies. When our heart pumps oxygen and nutrients to all parts of our body, that's what feeds us. It gives us the ability to do all the things that we function with every day of our lives. And if we didn't have our hearts, we wouldn't be able to do anything. And with our clubs in Southern Region and SIA, we circulate all types of information to our members. We flow from Tuscaloosa and Huntsville over to Nashville, into Florida, and back and forth all over in our region, our clubs, and from SIA. But you know, and my field is in health, fitness, and wellness, and it's the love of what I do when I work with people in these areas. But if our cardiovascular system incurs a problem, such as AFib, an irregular heartbeat, or a blockage, blood flow can be reduced or it can be stopped altogether. And then what happens? We have a heart attack, or something happens to ourselves and we can't function the way we normally do. But for our members and clubs, our Southern Region, and for SIA, if we fail to communicate with each other, our organization can become ineffective. We can go from an orderly situation to a chaotic one. So that's why communication, for me, is so critical to the success of everything we want to do in Soroptimist. So here are a few benefits to effective communication. And the first two are things that effective communication reduces. And that is, it reduces errors. If our team members in our clubs, if all of our members, and when it comes to Southern Region and SIA, if we don't know what we need to be doing and when it needs to happen, then you know how it happens. Projects can go astray. We need to minimize our errors and keep our work on track. So the critical thing here is to respond as soon as we can. Respond immediately. I didn't do that so well last week. We're working on a project here in Tuscaloosa, and it was my job to respond, and I waited a day. And then I had to go back and hurry up and do it again because everyone wanted to know what the answer was. So I needed to be on top of it. Responding immediately is critical. It can also reduce conflict. You remember playing the game Gossip in elementary school and maybe even older? And you sit in a circle and one person starts and then you pass that to the next and the next. And when it gets back around to the last person, they tell what they heard. And I'm pretty sure it's not the same thing that it started out with, right? It was some crazy thing that happened at the end. But that's the kind of situation you get into when you do not effectively communicate. Miscommunication can lead to conflict amongst our members. And so we need to clarify situations early and make sure that we help people work through miscommunication if it occurs. But if we can get it in the beginning, it reduces conflict. And on the opposite end, it can, when we communicate effectively, it increases productivity. It's essential to teamwork. And knowing what to do and when to do it reduces repetition and wasted time. So keeping everybody in the loop can increase our productivity as well as increasing team involvement. You know, if you know what's going on, you feel like you're working together. It makes us work as a team as a whole. So having the respect to answer and to be in the loop is very, very important. And right along with that is respect between all team members, because we want to feel valued. And if we are communicating with everyone in whatever form we choose, I know I feel valued when I ask a question and I'm answered. It can boost motivation and team morale, as well as facilitate a goal-oriented team. I know that as SIA likes to say, we want to work as one. We want to be on the same page. We want to have some continuity. So that's it. When we communicate back and forth, we can achieve that. And it also can increase our accountability. If you're in the loop, people know that you are working, that you're working toward the common goal. So it helps you be accountable if you're communicating back and forth. And then when we allow team members to express their feelings and team leaders to express their feelings honestly, it promotes a great sense of continuity and promotes honesty. And then, of course, if we communicate, we're all better informed. It's an informed team. So those are some of the benefits to effective communication. So a few tips along the way is to be yourself, to tell a story, you know, in the words that you want to, that you normally use. If you try to emulate someone else, it may not work out as well. So you want to choose the language and the communication skills that you have to express yourself. You also want to be available. If people need to see you, if you are a leader that can be out in front of everyone, but as we are doing this evening, Zooming or emailing or texting, however we choose to communicate, we need to be available. We need to be available to respond. So for me, that is just a critical area. And then listening, develop listening skills and promote input from team members. You know, what is said and what is not said is equally important. One of the things that I admire teachers so much for is their ability to read faces. And that's one of the things that I've learned how to do in my teaching career and in my training career, is to be able to read people's eyes, their facial expressions, their body language. And so when we develop listening skills, it's not only what's said, but it's also what you get from all those other aspects of communication. And we want to promote input from everyone. Again, it makes people feel valued when we are happy to listen to them and to consider their thoughts and concerns and ideas. Simplify your communications. One thing my husband JD works on me all the time is to be brief. And he taught me that when you write long sentences, people get lost. And that in business communication, sentences 23 words or less are most effective. So now I really don't go through and count all of my words, but I am trying to get a little bit better about keeping things simple and short and brief. People can read through it more easily, or when you're speaking, probably the same way. It helps. illustrate points with real life examples, stories that apply to you, because it makes it personal and it helps people understand you. They know your values. They listen to and get some feel of what's important to you. Communicate through actions. We always say actions speak louder than words. But I think sometimes we're frustrated if we are asked to do something, but our leaders don't do the same thing. We may have seen that more recently in some of the events going on in the world today, just thinking out loud about that. So we want to make sure that our actions follow what we're asking people to do, you know, and just in the sports world, you know, I like to see people who ask athletes to perform to also be able to, you know, live a certain lifestyle and be out in front with a real life role model when we're in front of the public. So communicate through actions. It's a great thing to do. And then finally, the first and last rule of effective communication is to actually communicate. Like Nike says, just do it. You know, even if it's not perfect, it's okay. Just practice communicating and answering. And so when presidents send out an email asking for feedback, please respond. Or when your the region officers do the same thing, your district directors, let's all get in the act and help one another out by responding. And effectiveness will come as we practice doing it together. It's a great way to communicate. That's it.